In this lecture, we will learn how to import existing infrastructure into the Terraform configuration using Terraform Import command. So far in this course, we have created and managed resources using Terraform. Ideally, we would want the provisioning, updating, and deletions of all infrastructure resources to be managed by Terraform. But in real-world projects, there's a big chance that this is not always the case. For example, there may be AWS resources that are created using the management console, or other resources that are provisioned using another IAC tool such as Ansible. But what if we want to bring resources created by other methods into the control of Terraform? How do we do that? Earlier, we saw how to read data from other resources that are not managed by the current Terraform configuration by making use of data sources. While this helps us to make use of the attributes of the data source, the resource itself is not managed by Terraform at this stage. For example, here we have a data source block which will read the attributes of an existing AWS instance with the matching instance ID. The data source is called new server. And we are making use of an output variable to print the value of the public IP of this EC2 instance. In spite of this, the actual EC2 instance with this specific instance ID is not managed by Terraform. We cannot update or delete this resource using Terraform commands. To bring a resource completely in the management and control of Terraform, we have to import it, and for that, we can make use of the Terraform Import command. The syntax to use this command is as follows. The command to be used is Terraform Import. This is followed by the resource address, which is the resource type and the resource name separated by a dot. Following this is the resource attribute that can uniquely identify the resource, such as the ID. Using the same example that we used for the data source, the import command would translate to this. If we run this command now, don't expect our main.tf or any other configuration files within the directory to be updated with the resource block pertaining to this AWS instance. Instead, the first time we run this command, we should see an error like this. And this is because Terraform Import does not update the configuration files at all. It only updates the state file with the details of the infrastructure being imported. As of this recording, and as of Terraform version 0.13, we have to manually write the configuration for the resource being imported. In order to fix this error and continue with the import, we can write an empty resource block like this. You will notice that the block does not contain any arguments at this moment, required or optional, but that's okay for now. Once this resource block is defined, we can rerun the import command, and this time it should go through without any errors. The resource is now imported into the Terraform state file. Next, we can complete the resource block for the web server 2 by defining all the resource arguments and their values. To get the values for the arguments for this EC2 instance, we can inspect the instance from the management console. Alternatively, since it's already been imported, we can also inspect the state file instead and look for the attributes. Once we have all the details, fill in the arguments in the resource block for the web server 2. Here, we have added the values for AMI, instance type, the key name, and the security group ID used by this instance. Once all the arguments and the correct values have been provided, a Terraform plan will refresh the state and understand that the EC2 instance already exists and will carry out no action. The resource is now under the control of Terraform. Going forward, any changes to this resource can be carried out by updating the configuration file and following the Terraform workflow of init, plan, and apply.